Hello, Ramley and other NFL family. I'm Peo Time here with the Rams Radar. In this video, we are ranking the Los Angeles Rams 2025 opponents in a tier list. And yes, we're going to have some fun talking about each of the Rams opponents this year. I'll just explain a little bit of my context and then I'll get right into ranking them, starting with who the Rams play first and then going all the way through the season. I will say NFC West rival opponents, I'm only going to rank once because I don't feel a need to rank them twice. That being said, the Rams have a lot of hype around them. They're considered a Super Bowl contending team, and I think that they have an opportunity to win a lot of games this year. That brings me to kind of my rationale. So my tiers are: the S tier is for the Super Bowl or playoff preview tier, which means these opponents, they're some of the best teams in the NFL. These are teams that are expected to have contention for the Super Bowl. So the Rams will play them in the regular season. Who knows how that game's going to go, 50-50. But there's a good chance they'll see this team again in either the playoffs or the Super Bowl. So that's your S tier teams. Your A tier teams that's going to be a tough game. That's a tough game. Yeah, tough one. So these are the teams that, they're not necessarily that Super Bowl contending team, but they are a good team, quality team. And the Rams, I believe they should beat them. However, I would not be shocked if it didn't go in the Rams' favor, just because I do think the team around them, has some playmakers on their team. The B tier stands for better believe Rams will win this game. And so this is the tier of, like, your kind of your tough, middle of the road teams that the Rams on paper should win, but any given Sunday, they might drop a game, but those are kind of your B tier teams. Your C tier is, come on, the Rams are going to win this game, and it shouldn't, we should not be talking about it. Sure, any given Sunday, you never know, but I would be surprised if the Rams lose to any of the teams in this tier. And the final tier, your D tier, is do not lose to these teams, because they're these teams and they are, in contention for the number one overall pick. If you're a Super Bowl contending team like the Rams, you cannot lose to these teams. You can't. We're not messing around here. Just, you got to beat these teams. Maybe it's closer than you like to think, but no, the Rams, do not lose to these teams in this tier. So let's get right into it here. Feel free to like and subscribe, all that good stuff. I started a channel membership program. If you're interested, check that out. And week one, first game of the year, the Rams face the Houston Texans. Now, the Texans, they won the AFC South last year. I don't think that they're in this S tier, and I'm kind of debating between the A tier and the B tier here. I'm gonna put them in A tier for the sole reason of it's week one, and week one, just wonky stuff can happen week one. I think the Rams will win, but yeah, the Texans, they do have some playmakers on that team. We'll see what CJ Stroud does. I'm gonna say tough game. I think that's a fair spot to put the Texans. All right, the Tennessee Titans. They got, the number one overall pick last year and coming in with Cam Ward this year, week two. I'm putting them in the do not lose to these teams. Okay, in no disrespect to where the Texans are at, I just think that when the Rams are going to be facing a rookie quarterback week two of the season, and also the Titans just they kind of are going through the motions of a pretty extensive rebuild right now. You can't lose to the Titans week two. You can't. That is a do not lose. Do not lose. Confident about that. But yeah, Titans are going in that tier. The Philadelphia Eagles, defending Super Bowl champions. Maybe in this C. I'm kidding. No, I'm not going to put them in the C or D tier. We know where they're going. They're going up here in the S tier. They're defending Super Bowl champion. They still have good players, good coaching, and that's going to be a game that the Rams lost to the Eagles in the playoffs. A little bit of opportunity for revenge, but it's in Philly. That's going to be one of the hardest games on the Rams schedule all year. Thankfully, they get it early in the season. But yeah, they're no issue putting the Eagles in the S tier. Either a playoff preview there for the Rams, but we'll see. All right, next up is the Indianapolis Colts, and I go back and forth because the Rams historically have done really good against the Colts in the past couple of years. The Colts, though, the one thing that concerns me about the Colts is they are a kind of a desperate team. You got question marks at the quarterback position. They got a coach on the hot seat, new ownership. I'm I'm gonna I'm debating between B and C. It's week. You know what? It's early in the year. I'm gonna put. I think if it was later in the year, I'd be more concerned about this game. I'm gonna put them in the come on. The Rams are gonna win this game. When I really think about it, the Rams they should win that game. They're not on the D tier list. They're not there because of where they're at. But I'm gonna say come on. The Rams are gonna win. All right, their first divisional opponent, the San Francisco 49ers. Now, the Niners lost some pieces this offseason. They're a team, they were badly injured last year, badly injured. The Rams did sweep the Niners last year. That was great. And they're on a 3-game winning streak if you include when Carson Wentz beat them the year before. So I'm not I'm not super high on what the Niners are going to be this year, but I don't think they're going to be a bad team. I'm going to put them in this B tier here that you better believe the Rams are going to win. They might split with the Niners, and I'm okay with that. I do not think that the Niners sweep the Rams. I think that the Rams either sweep the Niners this year or it's a split. But I do think the Rams are, on paper right now, the better team than the 49ers. All right, the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, that's gonna be yeah, they're going up here. I don't need to think too much about it. Ravens, they've been a really good team for a long time. You feel like they're just knocking at the door of that Super Bowl window with Lamar Jackson and company. And yeah, I think that the Rams played the Ravens hard. They've played them a number of times in the Sean McVay era. But I'm gonna put them in that S tier there. That's oh man, like that. Could you imagine a Rams Ravens Super Bowl? That would be really cool. That'd be a lot of fun. But yeah, two really good teams. I think whenever the Rams and Ravens play, it is a good game though. All right, the Jaguars, and I'm gonna hit the British accent here because it's across the pond. And so the Jaguars and the Rams play over in London, and I'm gonna put the Jags in the come on. Rams are gonna win tier because you never know what happens across the sea. Like the Rams are going from California to Baltimore, and I'm assuming they travel across the pond. So there's some time zone stuff, but Jaguars new coach and Liam Cohen. Yeah, I'm gonna put them in that. Come on, Rams got to go over to England and get the bloody win, eh? Oh, sorry, my Canadian kicked in there. All right, the New Orleans Saints. They're going in the D tier. Okay, let's be honest. So many question marks with the Saints right now. Rebuilding. I don't think the Rams are or don't think the Saints are going to be as bad as what people think they're going to be, but I think they're still going to be really bad. Like I think they'll have a bunch of games where it's like, oh, the Saints were competitive this year, but no, I fully expect the Saints to be in contention for the number one overall pick. I would be so disappointed if the Rams were to lose to them. I know they have some veteran players and stuff like that, but when I look at this team's roster and the moves they've made, I see a team that's rebuilding. Maybe they win a couple of surprise games this year, but I don't see them as more than a 4-win team, and I don't think that they're at a place where the Rams are in terms of roster talent or roster construction. I'm confident about that. I don't want to see the Rams losing to any of these teams, but the Saints definitely in the D tier. All right, you got the Seattle Seahawks, who got second place in the division last year, and almost won the division just by like a tie-breaking procedure, lost it to the Rams. And I'm gonna say this: I respect what the Seahawks did, moving off of DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Geno Smith, like lots of changes happening in the Seahawks organization, and I believe they're going through a rebuild that will make them worse this year, but potentially will make them better next year. I don't think 2025 is the season for the Seahawks. I think they're going to regress from what they did last season. And that's just kind of my opinion on it. You feel free to disagree with me. I don't see them beating the Rams at all this year. I think the Rams will sweep them. I think the Seahawks are going to have some growing pains this year as a team, and so I'm not. I don't think they're going to be a dumpster fire, but I'm putting them comfortably here in the C tier. I think the Rams are. Come on, the Rams are going to beat the Seahawks. I'm not a big believer in Sam Darnold. To have a repeat of what he did last year on a stacked Vikings team, because this Seattle O line, I don't think it's still fixed. I Yeah, I don't see the Seahawks matching up well with the Rams at all right now. Ah, yes, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Ooh, that's gonna be a tough game. That's going. I'm not putting them in the S tier. They definitely go, and you know what? If we're doing the ranking thing, I'm putting the Buccaneers there ahead of the Texans. Yeah, no, the Buccaneers. They're gonna be a tough team. I think that they've been pretty consistent. And Baker Mayfield, again, revived his career with the Rams on a 98-yard drive against the Raiders on a Thursday night after only reading a playbook for like a day. But yeah, no, I think the Buccaneers are a tier team. That's gonna be a tough game. They'll be one of the better teams in the NFC this season, but I'm putting them comfortably in towards the top of A tier. All right, the Carolina Panthers. Yes. Let's see. Where are we going to put the Panthers here? I think the Panthers are going to be a better team than what people believe. At the same time, I'm not ready to say they're anything more than a C tier team on this list. I'll put them higher than the Seahawks. I just I'm not a believer in what the Panthers are, as opposed to the Rams. I think the Panthers are definitely going to be a better team this year, but I don't think they're going to be so much better that the Rams will lose to them. Maybe they keep it competitive, but I like what the Rams have as opposed to this Carolina team, and I think that our front four is going to give Bryce Young a really bad day at the office. All right, the Arizona Cardinals, the final NFC West rival team on here. And I think that the Cardinals are going to be one of those teams that they do have a quarterback who has a lot to prove this season in Kyler Murray. I think that they have some nice pieces, some really nice weapons. I'm not a I just I'm not sure that they're ready to put all these weapons together into a cohesive team yet to be that next tier of contending for the Super Bowl. I think the Cardinals could definitely contend for a wild card in the NFC. I think they could be a playoff team, but I am going to put them in the same tier as the 49ers. I think that they're the Rams, better believe the Rams are going to beat the Cardinals. Maybe they split with them, but I think the Rams will handle the Cardinals quite well. I don't think that Kyler Murray is gonna stack up well against this Rams front four, and that's kind of where I stand on it. We'll see. Only time will tell. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm putting the Cardinals. All right, the Detroit Lions. Yes. Okay, a team that was pretty banged up as it got towards the end of last year, but they were still one of the best teams in the NFL. You got the Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff storyline in there. And anytime the Rams and Lions have played the past couple of years, it has been a like heart pounding game till the bitter end, right? And the Rams have been so close to beating them, but they've come up short. Now, this time, though, it's not in Detroit, it's in SoFi. And I would love it if Stafford could beat his old team and bring this series in the Stafford trade era to 2-2 because the Rams beat them in 2021 and they've lost them twice since. So I think this game is going to be a tough game, but I am willing to put them up here in the S tier. I just I have question marks around the Lions, right? They lost both coordinators. Will they be able to be as consistent as they were last year? I still think if they come back healthy enough though, the Lions will be one of the best teams in the NFC, vying for a Super Bowl berth. And I could see a scenario where the Rams play the Lions in the regular season and then play them again in the playoffs, right? And maybe it's in the NFC Championship game. If you watch my video on the Rams' perfect season, I kind of had that scenario playing out. But yeah, I'm putting them in there. Okay, the Atlanta Falcons, last team here. And selfishly, I want to put them in the D tier of do not lose to this team because I want the Rams to destroy the Falcons. I want the Falcons to have a really bad season so that the Rams have their first round pick next year. And they're as tempting as to put them there. I have to be realistic. I'm putting the Falcons in this B tier of teams. It's not that I think the Falcons are going to be this amazing team this year, but I think they are going to be a tough out for anyone. I think that they're going to get better this year. I think, Penix going in as the starter in the season helps them. I think they have some nice weapons, on offense and defense. So I'm comfortably putting them in the B tier, and that's kind of where I'm at here. So this is my tier list of the Rams 2025 opponents. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Should some of these teams be higher, lower? Are they, am I 100% correct? Let me know. And as always, go Rams, horns up, and peace out. Let's go Rams. And of course, check out some of my other videos. That helps with the YouTube algorithm and help my channel grow. And if you haven't checked out my membership program, feel free to check that out as well.